Hi, and welcome to Rise, Heal, and Grow. I'm Leah M. Hill. This show is a podcast production of Apollo Sunrise Center, which is a health, wellness, and spiritual retreat center in Merrimack, Massachusetts. On this show, we shine the light on those who nurture wellness and inspire positive change. My guest today is Carolyn Sharp. She is a relationship expert, a therapist, an author of the book called Fire It Up, and also a TEDx speaker. Welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you so much, Leah. It's wonderful to be here.
Thanks for being here today. I love hearing about your work because you're doing so much. You're a very busy lady these days. So we're going to get to talk about at least a high-level version of everything that you do. We probably don't have time in the show to get through everything. But I want to talk about how you got started in this, because you've been in this world of helping couples, individuals, even teams, like business teams, for over 30 years.
Correct.
And helping people work together, connect, build the bridges and everything. And how did that all come about for you?
Well, I think the statistic is that 97% of helping professionals come from some form of dysfunction in their background. And I certainly fall within that group. So I grew up in a family outside New York City, where there was both mental health and addiction issues as a child. Well, not as a child. My parents struggled with this, and my ancestors, the generations before me as well. And so I grew up the youngest child. My siblings were older than me. I came along a fair number of years after they came along, and so I was quite lonely. I was by myself,
right,
and neither had playmates nor parents or adults that had much capacity to tend to me. So I was alone dealing with a lot of stress and sort of trauma. And so I knew from an early age what was needed and sort of set out to create for others what I didn't have.
Right, because you were a child, but having to deal with very adult issues.
Correct.
And learning how to be independent. And I imagine you also learned, from other people that I've spoken to that grew up in that kind of environment, you learned what's going on in the environment because you learn to observe, right?
Correct.
You have to kind of know what's coming, what's, what is the mood right now, what's, to prepare yourself. So does that sound
That
right?
sounds exactly right. It was a lot of, our brains have two opposing drives at all times. One is to survive and one is to connect, because we need human relationships in order to be healthy and to grow and to learn.
Right.
And so my brain was scanning the environment at all times for what was safe and what was unsafe.
Right.
So that observation of watching the environment, looking to my parents to see, are they okay, are they not okay, am I safe, am I not safe? I learned to do that at a very young age, as well as learning to take care of my mother and her, mental health issues and her addiction issues. I would try and make the environment peaceful and calm, so that maybe she wouldn't drink.
You were the
or maybe
peacemaker.
I was the peacemaker. And my brother and sister left home when I was very young, so I was by myself from 10 to when she finally stopped drinking at 14. I was all by myself with a mom who was really struggling at that point with addiction issues. And so I really learned to observe my environment, see emotional distress, and try to react to it. And that became it was a survival mechanism early on, but it became sort of what I wanted to do. I wanted to provide for kids and families what I didn't have growing up.
Yeah.
And then as I grew and saw the power of the adult relationship on the child, that's when my passion for healing relationships came into play.
Okay. Wow, that's fascinating, because, it certainly could have gone the other way for you, right? You could have made you made the decision to observe what was going on and to turn it into something, over the years as you were growing up, to something that would help other people, but it certainly could have gone the other way.
It absolutely could. I feel very blessed, very privileged that I had sort of an innate resilience as well as an innate desire to be of service and to be of help, and to turn pain into growth.
Yeah, fantastic. So you talk about like wholeness, things that, instead of focusing on fixing what's broken, bring us back to wholeness. How do you do that in your work?
Well, I think that there is a tendency to view pain and difficulty as bad.
Right.
And the reality for me and what I believe for others is that pain is an opportunity. Pain is mandatory in life. You can't go through
Right.
life without facing pain. Whether we struggle around that pain is optional. And this is, a lesson learned from studying Buddhism, that pain is mandatory in life.
Right.
Suffering is optional. And so wholeness to me is about seeing pain as an opportunity for learning and for growth.
Okay.
And using everything in our environment, every opportunity, every challenge as an opportunity to make our life bigger and to connect more deeply to ourselves and to others.
Yeah, that's great, because I'm thinking like when we're in the pain, you really, you don't know how to get out of it, right? You're just kind of stuck in it, you're swirling it, and a lot of times you go down deeper into the pain because you feel like this one pain, even though it's in one part of my life, probably is affecting other parts of my life, or because this person left me, it means I'm bad, those kinds of things.
Right.
So that's really great that you can be there for people to show them the way out of it, and that it doesn't have to. I love that the difference between having to experience pain, not having to experience suffering.
Right.
Very different. Yeah.
The suffering is really the struggle against the pain, the resisting the pain,
yeah.
defining the pain as bad or about us.
Right.
Because that brain that's scanning the environment and is seeing threat is making up a story,
Right.
not only about what that pain means, but how to survive it. And,
Right.
my 6, 8, 10-year-old self did not have adult skills for navigating that. So I came up with stories and routes out that weren't necessarily the healthiest. And
Okay.
I have had to, in returning to wholeness, look at those honestly within myself, take accountability. I'm a grown woman now, so I'm responsible for my life now, and recognizing the habits that I have, the coping skills that I have
Right.
are my choice, and I can learn better. I can always learn better, more adaptive, more healthy ways out. The same is true in relationship. I learned to be in relationship from my parents, from how they parented me and how I saw them interact, and some of those things not so healthy.
Right.
And I reenact them in my relationship without really being conscious of it.
I
And
think
so
a lot of us do, or
we
we all do. Yeah.
We all do.
Yeah.
100% of relationship
do
is
that?
we're just, repeating what we saw, what we learned to do. So that's what I teach.
Yeah, and I think that's great, because I think a lot of what you can offer people too is that reflection, that mirror, that the coping mechanisms that you have that are probably subconscious, you don't even realize you're doing it.
Absolutely.
It's just what you think is normal, the way things are supposed to be. But to have someone like you reflect that and say, no, it's actually a choice.
Right.
It's actually a choice is very powerful. It's giving a lot of power back to the person
Yes.
that
yes,
needs it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and helping a couple recognize that, if we're partnered and you're doing something that hurts my feelings, to get curious about why are you doing that? What's happening beneath you? What is your coping, maladaptive survival skill that you learned? Why is it there? And how can I help you learn a different way to communicate or to attempt to take care of my needs, or whatever it is that's going sideways between us? That interplay between us, for me to be loving towards you or compassionate toward you and help you understand, all right, you don't need to do that anymore. I'm safe. You don't need to react to me that way, helps couples feel liberated and choose a different path, that we're both feeding this dynamic between us from how we learned, and we can learn a new way.
Yeah, because, right, I think it is new, because probably for a lot of people, they've never heard that before. Like, they never even had someone ask that, like, be curious, like, why, where does this come from?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Yeah. Where does this come from? That kind of thing. So is that one of the, I know you talk about the 3 C's a lot. So
Yes.
so curiosity is one, about having curiosity as to why it could be partner, relationship, friend, could be anybody, like why they're behaving that way.
Yes.
Okay.
Why we're behaving that way, what else might also be true? Because we, in that
Right.
developing a story about the pain, about the struggle, what else could be true? Because I'm stuck in the story that you don't like me, or that I'm bad, or whatever it is. And that curiosity leads us down the road of what else is possible? What else is true here?
Right, because that's not the one and done.
It's not one
it.
and done.
Right.
It's not the only truth. So curiosity is the first. Compassion is the second, which is having sort of love and care in our heart for the reality that every behavior is a desire to meet a need. Every human behavior is an attempt to meet a need, and to be understanding and loving toward, all right, if you're doing something kooky, damaging, destructive, it's because you're trying to meet a need. And if I can soften to that reality, the human reality that we're all doing our best, then we can open to the possibility of deeper connection between us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So curiosity, compassion, and connection.
And connection is prioritizing that relation, prioritizing the space between us, and the fact that we're always, all of us, in connection. And if I put priority to that connection between us, we don't have to be lost over a difference or a struggle between us. We can stay in connection even though it's hard. And that keeps us from alienating ourselves, isolating ourselves from people that are different from us, that maybe are challenging to us. It doesn't mean you're going to be best friends with everybody. It doesn't mean that your relationship, your romantic relationship, has to last forever. But we are in connection, and there is still learning between us, even through especially through difficulty and challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where that definitely plays a role in intimate relationships. You know, if there's married couples or longtime partners, and they say, okay, this relationship is important to me, so I'm willing to do the work. Is it different, though, like in the work situation, you know, where they're like, you know, I just have to work with you to get through my day, or how is that?
Well, in work relationships, in relationships with strangers, even with relationships with politicians that we despise. There is the possibility for learning from that connection. You know, take a politician that drives you absolutely mad. Brings you to rage.
Think of,
anyone can bring someone to mind, right?
Yes.
If you imagine that person and you get curious about what am I learning here? What's possible for me? What's coming alive in me? My values. My goals, what I think is important, what I want out of this world, what I want for this world. That connection between you and that politician that you despise allows you to be in contact with that. If you just discard them as bad, as like they're garbage and I am not going to be in connection to them, you're denying the reality that we're all connected. You know, I'm connected to the president, I'm connected to, you know, on the opposite side, to a senator that is, you know, the most liberal of liberal senators. And I'm connected to both of them, even though one of them I like and one of them I don't like. One of them I admire, one of them I don't admire. And being in the presence and prioritizing that connection means I'm staying in connection to what is possible in the learning, even through the difference that makes me sick to my stomach. You know, makes me want to go out in the streets with signs and march and fight. That being in connection to that helps me learn and be in connection to myself.
So you're benefiting for yourself, even if you have no physical connection or whatever, interaction with the person, you're still benefiting from yourself, because inevitably you're going to meet other people that you don't like, right? So by doing this process, I like that example of just doing that with someone, even at first, that you don't know personally, because you know you're going to meet someone personally that hits those buttons, let's say, that triggers you in a certain way, that brings up all your stuff, all your issues about that. So that's really important. I think that's so helpful for us in this very divisive world that we live in right now. Yeah, I'm on a passionate mission to try and help bridge those divides. I mean, that my whole TED Talk is about connection and the importance of it, because we need it to survive. And if we discard people that are different from us, whether that's our neighbor, you know, our next door neighbor who has a political flag that makes you want to, you know, your head blow off. You know, if we discard them as they're not worth my time at all, and we're not able to smile at them when we take out our garbage bins or whatever, we're losing connection to other human beings. We all need each other to move forward as a country,
as a neighborhood, as people.
We do, as humans, we
humans.
cannot survive alone. We really cannot.
No.
That was, I mean, back in ancient times, that was the form of death, was just to kick someone out of the tribe or out of the community, because you can't survive on your own.
You can't survive
without the connection with other people. So I think that's really good, because it also helps, I think, with we have this epidemic of loneliness too in our community, and to feel like, okay, even though I'm not, at a party, I'm not, out with friends and out with other people, I can still feel this connection by being aware of these concepts that you're talking about.
Yeah,
really
even
great.
a quality connection with the postmaster when you buy stamps, or a grocery checkout. If you have a 30-second interaction of humanity between the two of you, it feeds your health. It feeds your immune system. And even the Surgeon General of the United States did a study on the impact of loneliness post-COVID, because isolation was really causing and is continuing to cause serious health problems, and did a public health study and called it a public health risk.
Wow.
That loneliness and isolation are public health risks.
Public health risks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So
That's
we
important
need
to know.
connection. And
Yeah.
if we don't figure this out and we continue to go down the road of just labeling others as dehumanizing others, that they're monsters, they're criminals, they're, vermin, all of the names that are getting used really on both sides,
Right.
we're gonna destroy ourselves.
Yeah, very quickly. So what is the concept of being the CEO of yourself that you talk about? Like, is that like being the boss of yourself?
Well,
like, what is that?
Sort of. I mean, if you think of your life as your life's work, and you think of your life as, the corporation of your life, of from beginning to end, getting to the end of your life and having succeeded at your goals, you want to be operating as your best self. It's not just about being a boss who is,
Right.
controlling everything, but about sort of the visionary, the leader, the creative voice, the doer of the things, but more importantly, the beer, the person, the being,
the
that
model
is,
of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Of embodying everything that you want to be and achieve in your life. So that's sort of the concept I live with, and try to embody and try to model of, there are many Monday mornings where I've fired last week's CEO and rehired myself as the new CEO, because we all have weeks where we're, dragging our butt across the line, not being our best selves. And it's okay to, all right, we gotta start over.
To give ourselves that leeway.
Yes.
a little bit.
That grace.
Definitely, a little bit of grace.
Yeah.
But it also, you talk about taking radical responsibility for our needs, and we talk a lot about boundaries, respecting your own boundaries, and how does that come into practice now when we're in these, when we want an intimate relationship with someone, we want to be, but then we also have to have boundaries too.
Well, oftentimes boundaries get described or, talked about as a no that you have to put in place, like a fence, healthy fences, or tall fences make good neighbors, or whatever it is. And I find it more as a window, more a doorway, an opportunity between two people to define this is the boundary between us. And we can make it permeable, we can make it hard, we can make it open. It is the defining of our relationship together. And taking radical responsibility for our needs is about recognizing, all right, I need contact, I need affection, I need recognition. These are the things that I need. And not shaming yourself for having the needs, which is one problem that is happening currently, of just, I shouldn't have needs. And then the other is the sort of radical entitlement. I should get all of my needs met, or the relationship is bad.
Right.
And it is always, a relationship is always a give and take. It's always a dynamic between two people or more people of collaborating to make sure we're both bringing our best selves, challenging ourselves to be our best selves, and honoring, the space between us and how we each come forward with our unique needs.
I like that. I don't think I've ever heard that the boundary doesn't have to be this hard wall
Yes.
that we put up.
Right.
And it's like, it's a no.
Right.
And that's a no. And there's no other discussion, because I could see where that would break down many, many relationships right there. Because other people are like, well, forget it. I'm not willing to work. This isn't important enough for me to work at this if you're just going to put up a wall. But where you're saying the discussion that happens is about the doors, you call it doorways in the wall, that I really like. Yeah, that's really important.
Well, it's, don't cross my boundary is sort of the limits we put. Like he crossed or she crossed my boundary, and so I had to cut things off.
Right.
Well, again, using that critical curiosity of what is that boundary?
Right.
In a more expansive way. Why did you feel the need to place a hard, don't say that word to me, or don't be late, or don't, whatever it is, what is that really expressing in a more positive sense? Instead of that hard wall, it's an invitation of, for this relationship, I need respect. I need care. I need my time to be honored. And then we can talk about, all right, you are consistently late and it feels like you don't respect my time. Oh, I didn't realize, then we're able to examine your relationship to time and what it means to you to be asked to show up at a particular time, and how you're experiencing that boundary. The boundary is co-created, whether we like to think of it as such or not. I mean, I have my boundaries. They're formed in relationship with you. You have your experience. So it is a dialogue. It is a process.
Right.
But too often we're in competition with one another. My boundaries versus your boundaries. That's a very limited.
Yeah, you can't get far with that. Yeah.
You can't.
And I believe that you can have, or I believe I have, like, different boundaries in different, like, categories of my relationships, my very close, to the people that I'm acquainted with, to the people who are close friends. I have different boundaries with each, and that, for me, makes me feel like I have some control, because I know that if I did the same boundary for everybody, I probably wouldn't have these relationships, I'd be lonely. Right. So do you recommend that as well, like, to kind of think about the different relationships that you have, and
Absolutely.
finding a way to respect each of those boundaries?
Absolutely. And why are they different in different relationships? What are your needs in different relationships? So collegial relationships, you need one set of boundaries.
Right.
Familial relationships, you need another set. Romantic, you need another set. And to be curious about that, what is that doing for you? What do the different relationships do for you, and why do you feel the need to have those? Not from that's bad, not a curiosity because, that's wrong, but to be curious about, why have I adapted this way? What is the need expressed? And how can I collaborate with the people in my life in these different areas so that it happens? And certainly, there's certainly relationships that are just unhealthy with people that don't come to play and be in that dynamic with you, where you do have to set all right, this isn't a healthy relationship with me. I'm not going to be in contact with you. That's okay too, but it is a process that you want to be exploring with yourself, to be clear and grounded in your reasons for not having contact.
And because you might feel that the relationship is important, but if the other person doesn't feel that way, and it's not a healthy relationship, then you just have to have that strong boundary.
Yeah.
Right.
Not all relationships are meant to be lifelong. People should be happy and healthy in their relationships, but there is still connection. Even with people I'm estranged from, I'm still connected to them in a way.
Right. Oh, that's great. Okay. So let's talk about how, a lot of times it's easier for us to just not do this work, to just shut down, to walk away, to lash out, to blame the other person. But what you talk about is, like, there's this moment that's very critical of when you're about to do that. And then what do you recommend? What do you say to people that are like, oh, this is how I deal with it? I just walk away, shut the door, slam the door.
Shut down, pull the covers over my head.
Right. We used to be able to slam the phone down. Yes. But since we have cell phones, we don't really do that anymore. But I remember we used to, slam that receiver down.
So satisfying.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. We've lost that.
Right.
Well, I talk about it in terms of, we as human beings, we can feel better or we can get better.
We can feel better or
there
we
are
can
things that
get
make us
better.
feel better, and there are things that help us get better. And
Okay.
often as a therapist, people come to me and they want to feel better. But
Right.
they don't actually want to do things that make them get better, that grow.
Getting it.
So
Okay.
we may have the impulse to pull away, to withdraw, to
Right.
slam the door, to shut down. That may feel better in the moment.
Right.
But it doesn't help us grow. So the opportunity is to contemplate, to be curious about ourselves of like, what is this impulse in me
Right.
wanting from this interaction? I want to end it because I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling shamed, I'm feeling whatever it
Yeah,
is.
to really look
and
at
this is, this response is because it feels better to slam the door, to yell, to shut down, to tell someone they're wrong, to cut off contact, whatever it is. Is this for feeling better or is this for getting better? Obviously, you're not going to do that in the moment of heightened conflict with someone, but in the reflection, the post game wrap up, to
Yeah.
look at, was that impulse, was that behavior something that I was doing in a healthy way or an unhealthy way? And that, shut down or slamming or whatever is often a survival mechanism. That's the fight,
Learned.
flight,
Yes,
freeze, fawn response,
freeze.
and recognizing it, owning it, not shaming yourself about it, and then deciding, what do I want to do with that?
Yeah.
And ideally, you need another person in the relationship to work with you about that, to say, right, I shut down when you say X or Y or do X or Y. Help me not shut down.
Yeah.
And work together to
See, that takes a
create
lot. I
different-
think, when you can get to that point in the relationship, then you have a very good,
Yes.
a trajectory, let's say,
Yes.
going forward. When you
Yes.
can say, okay, this is my reaction and I'd like to change it. Can you help me understand it or help
Yes.
me? Yeah.
Can we
That's
work
really-
together? And any couple, any partnership can do that as long as both people want to create a new way together.
True.
And I have worked with couples that have done extraordinarily terrible things to each other and still are able to create a new reality together because they both
Really?
want healing and growth. Yes.
Wow.
Like Lifetime Movie of the Week type stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. We got some short stories to
Yeah, you
share
got
on
some short-
that.
yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you share any in your book? I'll hold up your book.
I
here.
share amalgamations of those healing stories. So I
Thank you.
disguise everybody because I'm a
Okay.
therapist.
Sure, of
and,
course.
No one wants to see their name in a book or their story in a
course.
book. But so I've mixed people together to create real stories,
The
that
stories, yeah.
I've helped heal.
About what people have done to each other. This is called Fire It Up: 4 Secrets to Reigniting Intimacy and Joy in Your Relationship. I love that. I mean, I'm thinking of some of the stories I've heard of what people do to each other. I mean, just, it's really, it's more than just, fighting over the silverware when you
Right.
get the divorce or anything. It's like really,
Yeah, I
trying
mean,
to
and
hurt
it's
people.
all people trying to get through their life, trying to
Yeah.
survive with the tools. We all do the best we can with the tools we have.
Yeah.
And some of us have more tools than others. And so, I'm working, and that book is a love letter to people in relationship to help them realize there are other options, there are other ways, and you don't have to wait until a crisis to have a healthy relationship.
yeah. So this book would be helpful for someone who's in a relationship and they just want to just bring some awareness for themselves. It doesn't mean I'm going to give this to my partner and say, you read this. I'm going to read it for myself and say, okay, what are some of the things that I can learn for myself?
Yeah, it can be read
Yeah.
alone, it can be read together,
Okay.
you don't have to be partnered to read it. And
Okay.
some of my dear friends are in very healthy relationships, and they read it and they said, this is helpful to me in my work relationships. This has changed how I interact with people at work.
Yeah.
And that is really the dirty little secret behind that book. It's really an attempt to get the world to be kinder to one another, to understand why we do the stuff we do in relationships, and
Okay.
that there are other ways.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Okay.
But don't tell anyone.
All right. I got to read the book. I know. I got to read the book. Thank you. Oh gosh, I'm losing track of time here because I'm like so caught up in this whole discussion, but this is great. So, Fired Up. So where can we find your book if we're
You
looking
can
for
find
it?
my book anywhere books are sold. So
Okay.
your favorite independent bookseller is the first place I tell you, but the big booksellers online, if anybody knows them, they can
Yes,
buy them there as
they
well.
can buy them there.
And
Okay.
they can buy them on my website, Secure Connections Retreats, or my therapy website, CarolynSharp.com.
Okay.
Either of those, they can find the book.
Perfect, because I was going to have you share your information so people know how to connect with you. So your therapy is at
CarolynSharp.com.
CarolynSharp.com, and then the
My retreats and coaching is at secureconnectionsretreats.com, where my Italy, my fall 2026 Italy retreat is happening.
Yes, let's talk about that. So we have a minute or so to just talk about what you've got coming up, because you have a lot. So the Italy retreat is October
10th to 17th. It's for only 5 couples get to come. So it's
5
like
couples.
a intimate dinner
Wow.
party to see Tuscany and sample wine and food and art.
Yeah,
And
but with you,
with me,
facilitating,
yes, me facilitating,
Okay.
deepening, richening your relationship while also having an epic adventure
great.
at a luxurious 14th century villa.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I
that
know.
sounds great. And then you have 2 events coming up at Apollo Sunrise Center,
Yes.
both in May. So Sunday, May 3rd, which is the week before Mother's Day, you have, I'm going to get, because I want to say,
Learning through wisdom, the wisdom between us.
the wisdom between us, yes. The mother-daughter connection across generations. So, and I just want to make sure that people can come even if they're not with their mother or
Yes,
daughter. Like, you can
yes.
come on your own. It
Yes,
doesn't
you
mean you
can.
have to bring your mother or daughter, but
Yes.
it's about the relationship as a whole.
The experience of being mothered and the experience of mothering.
Right.
Because women are connected to that mother energy, whether we are mothers or not.
Exactly.
So
Right.
you don't have to have had children to be connected to that energy.
Yeah, that's great. And then Tuesday, May 5th, in collaboration with me and Innovation Women, we are hosting a retreat called How to Run a Successful Retreat. So for people who want to be retreat leaders, you are going to lead a section on destination retreats. Because you have lots of great experience with that as well. Like how to run a successful destination retreat. What are the pros and cons to doing that as opposed to doing something local? So all that information is at apollosunrise.com for those. And then you can find the information on your Italy retreat on your website as well.
Yes.
So, wow, Carolyn, this was so fun.
This was
Thank you so
amazing.
much. This went by so fast.
know.
I'm like, my shows always do, but this was like, I was going, okay, we have to keep track of the time here, but this was great. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thank
I
you
think
for
you
having
shared
me.
so much great information. I appreciate it. And thank you, all of you, for watching or listening here today on Rise, Heal, and Grow with Leah M. Hill. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe on whatever platform you're joining us on today. And come back again soon because we have lots more episodes coming up.